Okay. How to effectively demotivate home sellers. Years ago, I was asked to speak at a national convention because I created the national marketing systems. And back then, 25 years ago, you weren't supposed to be a speaker. You were supposed to be a motivational speaker. But I intuitively knew I could never be a motivational speaker because I'm from New England. Okay? Think of the last motivational speaker who came from New England. Would it be Governor Dukakis? Would it be John Kerry? Okay? So you can't be a motivational, we're too serious, we're too intense, we're too sarcastic, but that could be said for the whole Northeast. Most of the motivational speakers, they come from California. Mike Ferry years ago dedicated his book to me. Have you heard of Mike Ferry? California. Brian Buffini, California by way of Ireland. Tom Ferry. Debbie DeGroat. The most motivational speakers don't come from the Northeast. That's why the next time you go to dinner in Manhattan, here's what's going to happen. After you have dinner in Manhattan, the waiter's going to come over and here's what they're going to say to you. Was anything okay? Because we're just not that ebullient and evangelical in the Northeast. So because I knew intuitively I could never be a motivational speaker, I contacted my oldest daughter, who was at Princeton at the time, University. Now she's a clinical psychologist. I'm always proud. My two oldest daughters were two-time All-American soccer players. They went to Princeton and UPenn. My other daughter, Laura, went to BU. And I called Ginny at Princeton. I said, Ginny, I want to become a demotivational speaker. I can't cut it as a motivational speaker. I just don't have that in me. Could you do, but I need to have a system for it. Can you do some research, and this is before the internet, can you do some research on the most effective ways to demotivate people? So at least I can teach people, don't say this, and I can protect them from themselves, because for 20 years I went on 2 or 3 listings every day with all my associates. I was the person who made the presentation for the whole company. And I called FSBOs and expires every Monday night for the whole company. I gave a lease to everybody. And my attitude on calling people was this. A lot of my people were in all the upscale markets. In fact, I listed President Nixon's home. We're in all the upscale markets in northern New Jersey, Saddle River, and Ridgewood. I lived in Franklin Lakes. And a lot of our agents, they weren't comfortable calling for sale by owners and expireds. But my attitude was this. I love to call strangers because most people are nice. And the people that are nasty, it's great to bother them. Okay? But a lot of our agents, their excellent breeding was an impediment to that type of behavior, okay? And so Ginny got back to me and she says, Dad, there's 3 major ways that you can demotivate, in your case, homeowners so they won't list with you. Number 1, in fact, you might want to write this or make note of these, okay? Number 1, if you want to demotivate somebody, okay? Number 1, try to embarrass them, okay? But even more so, try to belittle them in front of loved ones. Do you have that? Okay, so that would be the first way. So if you want to demotivate somebody, do everything you can to embarrass them or humiliate them in front of loved ones. Okay? Now, the second way was to manifest an acute sense of self-preoccupation. That was the psychological term that I get back from my daughter. Manifest an acute sense of self-preoccupation. In common terms, talk about yourself. And the third way to demotivate people from wanting to do business with you is try to get them to change their thinking. And it occurred to me, those 3 principles are cherished principles that our whole industry has been founded on. Okay? Those are our foundational values. Let me try to validate that. It starts off with this. We start off by belittling somebody because we actually have 100% of the industry that's been trained to actually meet with a home seller and say this. Let's take a look at some comps. Saying to somebody, let's take a look at some comps or comparable homes is the same as saying, let's take a look at some comparable children. Okay, I brought some pictures tonight. I brought some pictures, folks. Of some of the other children in the neighborhood that look just like your kids. Okay? They're just like, oh, come on, they've got 2 legs and 2 arms. What's the problem here? Now, but would you agree with me that our industry still actually uses the word comps and CMA? Now, here's how disgusted the homeowners are because of it. Every time, I may not be right, but I'm convinced, every time anybody in this room, in this wonderful company, anytime that you have said to a home seller, let's take a look at some similar homes, or you've tried to show subject property, other properties, every single home seller that you've ever met says the same thing. But they don't have 4 bedrooms. But they can't walk to Starbucks. But they don't have our view. They don't have this. They don't have a new kitchen. Would you agree with me? What they're basically saying is that you have humiliated us. You belittle us in front of our loved ones. We hate you, okay? But we're not going to get into a fight over this, okay? And how could we ever have confidence in your pricing because you clearly don't understand the fulsomeness of our property? You don't understand our lifestyle. So it's just stunning. It's astonishing that we're in an industry that would actually cherish the word that people hate the most. And it has survived from our real estate ancestors. It's been carried down for decades. We love that word. And don't even get me started on why we love the word, because I could go on for 5 hours of how insidious it is why we love that word. But I won't. I won't bore you with that, okay? I could take hours on that. Now, that's how we belittle and humiliate people. Now, how do we basically show a self-preoccupation, okay? Because a listing presentation is about you, your company, and what you've done. A marketing proposal is about them, their property, and what you're going to do. So we've been trained as an industry to think that we're actually going on an interview. But something like 92% of everybody who ever goes on an interview doesn't get hired. Because if you think you're actually going to interview to get the listing, where do you think you're going to put the focus? On yourself. And what's the second way to demotivate people? Self-preoccupation. Okay? See, the only people I can think of that are as dedicated to selling themselves are people in prison seeking parole. If you watch those shows, and I watch everything, okay? I'm a night owl. I watch all those shows. They come in with their brag books. They come in, I did this, I did that, I won this, I get rehabilitated, I get this, I did, here's my testimonials, okay? And basically that's a monumental turnoff with the home seller. I remember one time one of my agents said to the home seller, well, the biggest reason you should list with me is because you get me. And I could intuitively sense that that was the most frightening news of the night, okay? Because instead of the person painting on a larger canvas, talking about the customized marketing system, home services, Home Service America, HSF, Real Living, your market share, your training, your coaching, lifestyle advisor, the customized home marketing system, they want to instead discard all of that and act as though they're being interviewed. Okay, so that's, and the third way to demotivate people is to try to get them to change their thinking. Has anybody here ever met a home seller who thinks that the other properties are like this? But do you agree we try to get them to think that way? It's impossible. And so if we just avoid those 3 things, now we'll get to the positives. So let's go to the next. Okay. The difference between a listing presentation and a marketing proposal. Again, a listing presentation is about us. A marketing proposal is about them. That's why after you make a listing presentation, at some time in your career, you might actually have a home seller say this to you. Can you put together a marketing proposal and get back to us? You've never showed a marketing proposal where somebody says, can you come back and make a listing presentation? We have it completely backwards, and these aren't inconsequential distinctions I'm making. These have profound consequences on your income.